topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Our expert this morning, this is a very special show. I've been doing these shows now for 12 years, and for the first time, I actually wanted this expert to not only broadcast locally, like in this case, Atlanta or Georgia, but what he does and his background, I wanted him in every one of our markets. So he is the first expert that I wanted in every one of my markets, because what he does is so important, especially when it comes to weight loss and functional medicine. Let me introduce you to one of the greatest experts that we have, Dr. Eldred Taylor. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Hey. How much do I have to pay you for that intro?
It's going to cost you. No, it's, I have learned so much from you and the letters that we get just thanking us for having you as our expert on our show. I have learned so much from you, and your background, your story, I think is so unbelievable. And now that we're nationwide, please tell everybody about your background and your practice and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, well, great. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, and went to Vanderbilt University as for my undergraduate, and then moved to Atlanta to go to Emory for medical school, and did a residency in obstetrics and gynecology. And I met my wife here. She originally is in family practice and psychiatry. But anyway, to make a long story short, I practiced OBGYN like everybody else, did pap smears, delivered babies, did hysterectomies, prescribed birth control pills, everything OBGYN does. And that was fine for about 6 or 7 years until my wife started having some issues with hormones, with irregular periods and PMS and things. And I was treating her like I treated all my patients, and it was not helping. She was not getting any better. So I had a patient come in and ask me about progesterone, about natural progesterone. And that's a hormone. Even though I was an OBGYN, I really didn't know much about. But anyway, she gave me a tape talking about how hormones work and estrogen and progesterone and how you measure hormones in saliva. And that changed my whole career. That information that I got from a patient changed my whole career. And me and my wife, we wrote a book called Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And it talks about using saliva testing to test for hormones and using bioidentical hormones. And then we wrote another book called The Stress Connection, where we saw how stress and measuring cortisol, which is an indication of stress, affects everything. So that's why we called it The Stress Connection. But anyway, since it opened my eyes about the hormones, it started opening my eyes about all kinds of different things that I didn't learn in medical school that can help somebody live a more functional life for as long as possible. And that's what functional medicine is about. How can we help the body function as long as it can, as best it can? And that's usually not by giving the body a bunch of drugs. It's usually by giving the body what it originally used in order to create that function, which is either some type of vitamin, some type of peptide, some type of nutritional thing that you could get by putting it in your mouth. God made it where you could get everything you need by putting it in your mouth or rubbing it on your skin or whatever. So that's what functional medicine is about. What was the original idea of how your body was supposed to function and what it was supposed to use to function, and make sure that the body has all it needs of that.
It's funny, I always tease Dr. Taylor that the patients he gets are all the patients that other doctors gave up on, not finding the cause. I think,
well, you know,
Dr. Taylor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it's a great example of what doctors have given up on. I just had a patient yesterday. He's having these nervous twitches and pain that's seems to be progressing. A young guy, and he's been to neurologists. He's been to all types of docs, and nobody knows what's wrong. Now, we think it may be some type of environmental exposure he's had. And so anyway, to make a long story short, I told him, okay, you don't have a diagnosis, but we know your nervous system is not functioning. Okay, what helps the nervous system to function, or what makes it not function? Well, inflammation is one thing. And if you've been exposed to something your body's not prepared to handle, it causes inflammation. So it could be inflammation. It could be some toxin that your liver needs help to get rid of. And then also, how can the nervous system be calmed down? So inflammation, you give vitamin C. It's an anti-inflammatory. In order to help detoxification, you give glutathione, and these are both IVs because that is the master detoxifier. Whatever the toxin is, if you have enough glutathione, you should be able to get rid of it. The other thing we have is IV CBD. Everybody's heard of CBD. You can use it to help you sleep or whatever. I use a company that actually has IV CBD where you can, and what CBD does is calm down the nervous system. That's why it helps with seizures and sleep and all that stuff. So he has an overactive nervous system, which is causing him to twitch. So it's not functioning. And what we can do is we can give him IV CBD that should help to calm down the nervous system so it doesn't become overactive. So even though I don't know the actual cause, I know the 3 reasons that could cause it and how to treat it. And so that's what we're going to do. And I'll update you. So that's kind of how functional medicine works. That is a guy who had gone through all the conventional medicine and nobody knew what to do. And he was really just at his wit's end. And those are my kind of patients. And I told him, if you had to come to me first, I would have sent you to get that workup to make sure that there was nothing, there was no conventional medicine disease that was wrong. And since we know that's not the problem, then we have to work on helping the function. So yeah, when you say that a lot of times I'm the last resort, you're right.
And we're going to be talking about peptides today, but I have a question that we seem to get a lot of. I've told people I am on, and they're now calling it the skinny injection. I went on it about 4 months ago. Dr. Taylor, you use it in your practice. It actually does work. I've lost about 20-something pounds in 3 months. But my question is, and Dr. Taylor has treated my fiance. She is in her late 60s, has been putting weight on for about 6 months, and she is not a big eater. And I don't know how this happened, but I got like a year's supply of the Ozempic. I don't know, how they gave me that much, but I gave a pen to my fiance, and she's been on it for about a month, has not lost 1 pound. And because you're very much up on hormones, can hormones keep you from losing that weight?
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. We probably need to retest her. I know we tested her once, and I don't know, what she's been doing in treatment. But oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I had a patient who, and look, if a weight loss patient comes to us and we think there's a hormonal component, we don't even start them on the semaglutide until we fix their hormones, because we know it's going to hinder the progress. And I had a patient who had been on Ozempic, I guess, for 2 months or whatever, and the insurance company wasn't going to pay for it anymore, so she came to me. So anyway, in the first 2 months, she had only lost like 1 or 2 pounds. So I talked to her, and she's having hot flashes and all these things. So we test her hormones, we get her hormones straight. So I didn't start on the weight loss until then. So we put her on the, got her hormones straight. Next week, I think she may have lost 7 pounds. And anyway, over the course of the time, she's lost the 30 pounds. I just saw her not too long ago, and this is probably a year later, and she's kept the weight off. But what we've done is monitor her hormones the whole time. And so she's been able to keep the weight off. So a lot of times patients gain weight, women gain weight during menopause, and that's totally because of hormones. And so if we can fix their hormones and help them get rid of that weight that they gained because of it, and now their hormones are okay, they should be able to maintain their weight like they were able to maintain it before menopause, because now hormones are not putting that extra weight on them. I think I may have lost my host.
That's amazing. Steve will join us back again, I'm sure. So I think the next one was going to be the peptides. Y'all want to talk about peptides today?
Well, that's what we're supposed to be talking about, but we always seem to get on this semaglutide peptide. So the Ozempic, it's a peptide. It's a peptide called GLP-1. And sometimes you'll see ads for other GLP-1s. That's glucagon-like peptide. And what it does is slows down stomach emptying. It drives glucose into the cell. And it also seems to do something to the brain to take away cravings. And so you add all that together, and most people lose an average of about 5 pounds a month, or anywhere to 10 to 20% of their starting body weight over the course of 6 to 12 months. And usually we'll have a 6-month program. So that's a peptide, and they're discovering all kinds of, and what are peptides? Peptides are chains of amino acids, and amino acids make proteins. And long chains of amino acids are called proteins. Short chains of amino acids are called peptides. And these peptides, they're not really drugs, but they're things that your body uses as signals to turn on different processes. Hey, welcome back, Steve. I felt like I was the host.
Yeah, we had a real bad thunderstorm here.
Oh,
and all of a sudden knocked everything out.
Okay.
But I knew you could carry on, Dr. Taylor.
Yeah. So I was just explaining what peptides were, which semaglutide, which is what you're on, is actually a peptide. And even though I'm functional medicine and I'm not anti-drugs, but you got to understand that really Ozempic or semaglutide, which is the actual scientific name of it or whatever, or the generic name of it, it is really a chain of amino acids, which technically is not a drug because it's something that occurs naturally in nature, is these peptides. So these peptides can be used with a minimal amount of side effects, if any. And some of the the GI side effects are self-explanatory because that's how it works. But it doesn't have a lot of other side effects because it's actually not, quote unquote, a drug. And that's why peptides are thought to be very useful in medicine, because they help systems to function more effectively. It's not adding a new system. That GLP-1, a glucagon is it's something that does control appetite. The GLP-1 peptide makes that glucagon work more effectively, so it helps you to maintain a more normal weight.
So I missed it. So can the hormones, if you've got,
you didn't.
Will that keep you, even if you're on this injection? Could it keep you from losing weight?
Oh, I think you blacked out on that part. I'll explain it again. Yeah. So no doubt about it. In our practice, if we think there's a hormone issue that's involved, we always fix the hormone issue first, because yes,
Right.
it will slow down the weight loss. I was giving an example. I had a patient who had been on semaglutide for 2 months and had lost like a pound or two. Her insurance company wasn't paying for it anymore, so she came to me. I talked to her. She had a hormone issue. I didn't start her back on the semaglutide. We checked her hormones. We fixed those. The next month, she lost like 7 pounds. Over the course of the whole treatment, she lost like 30. Now, I just saw it not too long ago. This is like 6-7 months later. Now her hormones are okay. She's not even on the semaglutide anymore. So we got her to, and she gained the weight due to menopause. So I know that was a hormone issue. So we help her to lose that weight that the hormones put on. Now her hormones are corrected again. So now she doesn't have that abnormality causing her weight gain. So she can maintain her weight on her own. So yeah, there's no doubt about it. One of my sayings is, you cannot diet and exercise your way past a hormone problem. And I guess I got to add, you can't diet, exercise, or semaglutide your way past a hormone problem.
I heard something really good. The reason why I don't have diabetes, but I have major kidney problems, and thank God my insurance is paying for this. But they just found out that Ozempic, that it is also, they're finding out now that it is helping to repair the kidneys. I was blown away when I heard that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, increased weight causes all these problems: diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, all of that. So all of those things they damage your kidneys, they damage your pancreas, they damage your eyes, your cardiovascular system, but it all stems from the weight. So you take away all of those factors, if you take away the weight component, everything that the weight caused, the hypertension gets better, so now it doesn't damage the kidneys. Your insulin levels get better, so now your pancreas is better. This high blood pressure is not damaging your cardiovascular system, so that gets better. But it all stemmed from the weight. That's why your insurance company is paying for it, because you had other medical problems that could be related to weight: diabetes, hypertension, kidney problems, all that stuff. Insurance companies will pay for it if you have something else. If you don't, if it's just weight loss, they're not going to pay for it. Now, here's the problem. If your hemoglobin A1, well, you have other issues, but people who had elevated hemoglobin A1Cs, they would pay for it. Then, in order to get it renewed in 3 or 6 months, you had to repeat the labs. Well, the drug or the peptide is going to decrease hemoglobin A1C. So then they say, oh, well, your hemoglobin A1C is normal. We're going to stop paying for it. And then they gain the weight back, and now the hemoglobin A1C comes up. Now they can get the Ozempic again. So that's the craziness that the healthcare industry and all that stuff makes us go through. So that's why a lot of people just once their hemoglobin A1C comes down, they end up coming to me, because I can do it at a price that's lower than what they would have to pay without insurance.
Well, I do want people to know that this injection really does work. And I know that we're having people say, I'm nervous about the side effects. Well, everything out there, there's side effects involved. But the worst that I've had, Dr. Taylor, is a little nauseous, but it goes away though. And it's just something that, we started off this whole show with weight loss, and I'm learning that when you're overweight, it causes so much damage to your body. And it's so important. I don't understand why insurance companies don't pay for a lot of these things that have to do with weight loss, because it seems to me it would save them a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our healthcare system is like, we will pay for it when you are sick enough. You have to get sick enough. You can't be halfway sick and think that we're going to try and prevent you from getting sick. No, we're just going to wait and let you get sick enough. And maybe by then you'll get another insurance or, I don't know,
Yeah.
you'll switch jobs, you'll do something so we don't have to pay. Because, again, I'm like, hey, we're in a capitalistic society and insurance companies are supposed to make money. How do you make money? By making sure you get in a lot of premiums and make sure you pay out as little as possible. Therefore, you get higher stock prices. Hey, if I was over insurance company, I would probably do the same thing, so they're short-sighted. They're trying to make sure that next stock report says that, that they are increasing revenue. That's all they care about. They don't care about how sick you are 5 years from now or 10 years from now, so I hate to be cynical, but that's how the world works.
I don't know if you addressed this before, Dr. Taylor. What type of things can peptides do?
Let me say, peptides can do almost everything. I mean, there's peptides for everything. Another thing I know is a hot topic around here is ED. So one peptide is called PT141, or it's called bremelanotide or whatever. But most of the people, if you look it up, is PT141. PT141, what it does. So when we talk about ED, there's three things that are an issue in ED. One is you need to want to have sex. You need to want to have an erection. That comes from testosterone. Testosterone gives you the desire. Hey, that girl looks good. Wow, I'd like to take her out. So that's testosterone. All right. But the mechanics of an erection involve the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. One, that the artery that brings blood to the penis, it needs to be clean. It needs to be able to get blood in there. Okay. So if you have plaque, if you have damage due to hypertension or whatever, which again can be weight and all these, then you're going to have damaged vessels, and the artery is going to be clogged, and so blood can't get in there. So Viagra, how it works, one, it forces those blood vessels to open up. Okay, it makes something called nitric oxide that helps to increase that. But the problem is that it can also cause low blood pressure, and where people, they can feel faint. It also, when it opens up your mucous membrane, so people get stuffy noses, and so some people don't like that. And then the other thing that is involved in ED is the nervous system, because the smooth muscle around that artery, it has to be relaxed in order for that artery to open up and really get blood in there. And that is controlled by the nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is called the rest and digest system. The reason why men wake up in the morning with an erection is because that's when their parasympathetic nervous system, their rest nervous system, is most active, and that opens up that blood vessels and gives men a morning erection. And also testosterone is highest in the morning. So those two issues, and if you have a decent cardiovascular system, that causes an erection. So a lot of times what happens is when a guy has erectile dysfunction that first time, they get very anxious about it happening again, and that anxiety suppresses the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, the fight or flight nervous system, because I'm scared I'm not going to have an erection, and this girl is expecting us to have sex tonight, so that causes anxiety. It suppresses the rest and digest system, so now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We call it performance anxiety. Okay, so what PT141 does is enhance the parasympathetic nervous system's effect on those blood vessels around that artery. So you can take the PT141. It's an injection that you don't inject it into your penis. You inject it into your fat tissue, subcutaneous fat, 4 to 6 hours prior to sex, but it lasts up to 72 hours. So Friday morning, you can take the
Wow.
injection and you're good for the whole weekend. Also,
Right.
what it does, it also works in women. Okay. It increases their blood flow to the clitoris so they get a desire. And so that is the true breakthrough, is that you can increase women's libido with PT-141. So this is like a great thing to, spice up the bedroom or whatever. And I'm going to tell you, I've been using it with patients for now 4, 5, 6 years. And I have some guys who swear by it. They don't use,
Wow.
they don't use Viagra. So this is a nice, simple way. And it's something that, if you're out of town or your wife is sick, you just don't use it. So it's not like it's something you got to take all the time. But the beauty of it is that you don't have to do it immediately before sex. If the weekend is you and your wife's or you and your significant other's time to fool around, you do it on Friday morning, you're good Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. And if sometimes it's a little middle of the week rendezvous, you can do it on Monday or Tuesday and you're good for the rest of the week. So that's that's one. I don't know how much time we have because there's thousands.
Well, we're out of time.
Yeah.
Let's give everybody your
Okay.
phone number, but especially your website, because that's really the best way to reach you.
Yeah, and if you go to my practice website, we have a lot of information about peptides and everything else that I talk about here, plus some. So our website is taylormedicalgroup.net. Just make sure you put the .net and not .com. And then our telephone number is 678-443-4000.
Dr. Taylor, we love having you on your show. You're on with us every month, and we look forward to our next time together. Thank you so much, Dr. Taylor.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's Dr. Eldred Taylor, name of it, Taylor Medical Group. That's taylormedicalgroup.net. If you go to their website, and we'll be back with you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.